It's interesting because the big departments that we're now talking about, BEIS, headed by Grant Shapps, Trade, headed by Kemi Badenoch, and DCMS, headed by Michelle Donnellan. These are names who have been at the sort of forefront, in many ways, of the government's communication agenda in recent months. So we're going to see some big disappointments here, perhaps, or some potential challenges to Rishi Sunak perhaps squashed.
You see, those three names, they're often the ones who are sent out onto the airwaves in the mornings and then late at night to defend the government and to push the government's line. So they're trusted communicators. And I think particularly with Kemi Badenoch, it's quite interesting because, of course, she stood for the Conservative leadership and she's seen as a rising star within the Conservative Party. So I don't think she's going to be shifted to the back benches. But with the rearranging that's going on, it'll be interesting to see who comes out of it at the end of today as a winner and a loser. Because I think Grant Shapps, he briefly remember he was Home Secretary for a few days under Liz Truss earlier in the autumn. He is trusted by Rishi Sunak, so it'll be interesting to see what happens to him.
And of course, this post of party chairman that sort of instigated this whole process, there's now a new name doing the rounds in Westminster for who may well be appointed to this role, and that's the Trade Minister, Greg Hands.
Or Greg, safe pair of hands, as he's known in Westminster. So he's been an MP since 2005 for Chelsea, Hammersmith and Fulham in West London. He's been an energy minister, he's currently a trade minister. He's seen as a sort of a trusted pair of hands around Parliament and around the government. He's always loyal. So, yeah, putting him in charge of Conservative Party operations at CCHQ, that'd be an interesting move. I'm not sure he's got the sort of the campaigning background and the sort of zeal that one needs, really, to certainly going into an election period, because we've got the local elections coming up in May and then, of course, an expected general election next year.
Although I did notice on his Twitter account about an hour ago, he posted a picture of him campaigning about a local bus stop in his constituency. Could that be a hint, perhaps, on where things are headed? The other point about Greg Hands, obviously, a junior minister coming into the full cabinet, that's a very neat way to tie up this situation and leaves a space for a new trade minister, perhaps the return of Connor Burns, who was fired by Liz Truss in what he believes was a very wrong set of circumstances.
That's right. There was an incident up at the Conservative Party conference in Manchester where he was reported to whips for supposedly putting his hand on someone's knee in a bar, and then was later vindicated by an inquiry. And certainly Connor Burns' allies feel he was treated very badly. So if there was to be a way back, this could open the door for him. The other thing worth remembering, of course, is Michelle Donnellan, who's the current Culture Secretary. She's due to go off on maternity leave later this year. So there would be a natural temporary vacancy, if you like. But, of course, there are various pitfalls, if you like, about rearranging when people are on maternity leave.